चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu thematic study, Bhakti Shastri study. Last week, one class we could not have because some of the internet connection it was not working where I was located. So we could have only one class last week. The second class we could not have. So I will just recap what we discussed up till now. In fact, we are just in the fourth and the fifth chapter of Nectar of Devotion, as you see here. We have finished the characteristics of pure devotional service, the six characteristics, the first stages of devotion, eligibility of candidates for accepting devotional service, Adhikar, Kanishta, Uttama, Madhyama we discussed, and devotional service surpasses all liberation. How we should have no mukti and bhukti spruha, and how the perfected devotees, they don't have this desire, but those who are absorbed in the service of the Lord, they should never desire these things. And we gave various quotations also. So this is where we are. And in the verse by verse study, which we are seeing, after describing Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti definition and the scriptural proof for it, then types of persons were qualified, that is Uttama, Madhyama, and Kanishta. So these definitions we saw the terminologies in Uttama, Kanishta, and Madhyama. And then there are mixed devotees who also take up to Shuddha Bhakti. So that is from the Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvidha Bhajante Mam. Then the theme was rejection of the desire for bhakti and mukti. Because these are hindrance for pure devotional service. And we saw that Those who are liberated, perfected devotees, they are free. These desires are not present in them. But devotees who are absorbed in the bliss of service of the lotus feet of Krishna should never desire this liberation. Mukti spruha should not be there. And there were various quotations. We saw some 7, 8 quotations here in the slides. But in the word file, there are almost, I think, for perfected devotees, there is only one quotation given by Rupa Goswami. But for those who are sadhakas who should never desire this, I think there is almost 20 or 30 quotations given from the entire Bhagavatam. Yeah, around 20 quotations. And then there are from some other scriptures. So this is what we saw. Then we saw the gradations in Mukti Spruha. Mukti, desire for Mukti should be, one should be free. Then there are gradations also. Even the 4 types of liberation which are favorable, that is being in the same planet. But if there is no service, then it is rejected. But there are these 2 types we saw. One is called as Sukhaishwarya Uttara and Prema Seva Uttara. And among the 2, Sukhaishwarya Uttara is rejected by the devotees. But those who are attached to Govinda, they even reject Prema Seva Uttara. That is why we see the same famous pastime where Krishna had a headache and the gopis were ready to give their dust and they were ready to go to hell in order to relieve Krishna from his headache. So like that, those who are absorbed in the prema of the Lord, those who are absorbed in the serving the lotus feet, they also uh, don't aspire for these 5 types of liberation, what to speak of prema uttara. This is what we saw in Mukti Spruha. And that is why they are the best. They don't, their hearts are dedicated to Govinda and they are the best. And different forms, even form of Narayan or Dwarka Krishna or Mathura Krishna cannot steal their hearts. So this refers to the Vraj Bhakti. So this is where we had finished our last class discussion. And one theme was, after explaining how those who are Premi Bhaktas who are attached to only Govinda, the qualification for Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti is that, there should be Jata Shraddha Mat Katado, Na Nirvinna Na Ati Sakta. He has to have faith in hearing about Krishna's pastimes, not too much attached, not too much detached. But here, Rupa Goswami also mentions that anyone who is a human being, he is qualified to bhakti. He is having adhikar to practice bhakti. Nar matrasya adhikara vita. If he is a human being, he is qualified to practice bhakti. Of course, then he will have to get the mercy of a pure devotee. So this is what he presents, and then he gives 2 proofs for this. One is from the Kashi Kanda and one is from the Padma Puran. And now, uh, who is qualified to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti has been discussed, and various other topics were discussed. How we should be free from the desire for Mukti and Bhakti, and the gradations in Mukti Spruha, we should be free from that also. And um, anyone who is a human being is qualified to practice Bhakti. Now, the duties expected from a qualified practitioner. This is what is the theme which Rupa Goswami is going to speak. And this is there in this chapter of NOD, the purity of devotional service. Whatever we discussed in the previous classes is there, and remaining half portion um, is what Prabhupada is also going to refer to the verses of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu itself. So I will directly take the verses. So let us now today begin. our discussion of duties expected of a qualified practitioner. In the last class, I was giving an example of anyone who has entered IIT. He has got certain duties. He has to attend classes, he has to attend the labs, he has to finish his assignments. Similarly, anyone who is qualified to practice Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, he has certain duties to be performed. Now, what are the duties? Rupa Goswami is going to speak. Now, in the themes, in the part 2 Eastern Division, second wave, rejection of Varna and Ashram as a qualification for Bhakti. So, this is what is the theme Rupa Goswami is going to speak. We saw the rejection of desire for Bhukti and Mukti, the highest qualification, devotee of Govinda who rejects even Mukti Spruha. And there is difference between Govinda and Vishnu based on not Siddhanta but Rasa, based on Rasa. Now this is the theme of a rejection of Varna and Ashram as a qualification for Bhakti or the duties expected of a qualified practitioner. Now let us see the verse. Oh, I had actually, just a second. I had changed the, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had to just make some changes in the slide. Okay. Yes. So this is the next verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 63, 64. Duties expected of a qualified practitioner. Ananushthanato dosha bhaktyangānam prajayate na karmanam akaranat esha bhakti adhikarinam निषिद्धाचारतो दैवात् प्राश्चितं तु नोचितम् इति वैष्णवशास्त्राणां रहस्यं तद् Vedamata. This is very important for us to understand as devotees, especially those who are coming from traditional backgrounds where they have been practicing some kind of spiritual life based on how they were connected. Like some might be Sri Vaishnava, some Mad Sampradaya, or some might be born in Brahmana families who have been practicing traditional spiritual life right from their parents who cultivated that. So it is very important for us to understand this verse. The person qualified for bhakti, Esha Bhakti Adhikaranam. Previously, we saw in the verse that Naramatrasya, anyone who is a human being is qualified to practice bhakti. So such persons who are qualified for bhakti is at fault, dosha prajayate, for failing to perform all the important angas of bhakti. Bhaktya anganam akaranat. So one who is qualified for bhakti, he is at fault if he doesn't perform the important angas of bhakti, all the important angas of bhakti. But he is not at fault for performing the duties of varna and ashram. This is very important. Na karanam akaranat. Bhakti anganam akaranat. For if he doesn't do the bhakti angas, for one who is qualified for bhakti, then he's at fault. But he is not at fault for not performing his varna and ashram duties. If he, by chance, daivat, happens to commit some sin, nishiddha charato, there is no atonement prescribed for him. Prashchitam tu na uchitam. This is the opinion, iti matam, of those who know the secret of Vaishnav scriptures. Vaishnav Shastranam Rahasyam Tad Vidam. Now it is very, very interesting that we should understand this and have a practical application of this knowledge. So before that, let us see what Jiva Goswami has to say. Let us see what Jiva Goswami has to say. It has been established that bhakti should be without desires. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. This is the definition of Uttama Bhakti. On a related topic, it has been shown that all humans, regardless of social position, are qualified for this type of bhakti. So, Naramatrasya, anyone who is a human being is qualified for bhakti, be he Shudra or be he Antyaja or be he a Mlecha or a Yavana. Regardless of the social position, he is qualified for bhakti if he uh, gets the mercy of a pure devotee. There may be a doubt about this. Yes, all people are qualified. However, at the same time, everyone should follow the rules prescribed for them according to Varnashram. So, everyone, based on his Varna and Ashram, has to follow his Varna and Ashram rules. The scripture tells us that failure to perform those duties is sinful. If they do not perform their prescribed duties and they simply perform bhakti, all people will be engaging in sinful activity. So this is the predicament of Arjuna. Arjuna is, according to Varnashram, he is a Kshatriya. And Kshatriya is duty bound to fight, especially a Dharma Yuddha. And that is why uh, if he fails to perform his Kshatriya duty, then he will incur sin. So that is also the argument of Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 1 and 2. And Arjuna is thinking about higher duty. If he kills his own kinsman, then there is also sin. So these are the subtle dharmic principles which Arjuna is thinking. So if you are situated in your Varna and Ashram and you have to perform your Varna Ashram duties, and if you don't perform, then you will incur sin. You don't perform these Varna Ashram duties, but you simply perform bhakti, then you will be neglecting your Varna and Ashram duties. That means you will be committing only sin. You are performing bhakti, but because you are neglecting your duties of the Varna and Ashram, you are only engaging in sinful activities. So this is the question which is being posed by Jiva Goswami. That being the case, how can they become pure if they are sinful? So because they are not performing their duties and they are committing sin, and if somebody is sinful, how can you become pure? So this is the question. By doing atonements, will performance of undone duties be accomplished? So because there is sin, then they have to do prashchit. But they have not failed to perform those duties. So by doing atonements, will the performance of undone duties be accomplished? So this is the question Jiva Goswami is saying. Now, the answer. In response to this doubt, the author then answers with this verse, introducing it with moreover or apicha. So we saw this verse. In the verse itself, it is mentioned apicha. So what is this meaning of apicha? Apicha means moreover. The angas of bhakti here means the essential angas of bhakti. Note, there is no fault if a person does not perform all the 64 angas of bhakti, but he performs all the important angas. It's not that, because 64 angas of bhakti are there, all the 64 have to be performed. No, there is no fault. The essential angas are the first 20, and the last 5 are chanting, hearing Bhagavatam, association with devotees, living in a holy place, and deity worship. So the essential angas have to be performed. Now, this is what Jiva Goswami has to say. Let us see what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has to say. It is a fault if those qualified for bhakti fail to perform the required angas of bhakti, such as observance of Ekadasi or Janmashtami. So, those who have bhakti adhikar, they have to perform the limbs of bhakti. If they fail to perform the limbs of bhakti, then they are at fault. Like, one of the angas of bhakti is following Ekadasi. So you have to This is an ang of bhakti. And because you are practicing devotion, you have bhakti adhikar, you are supposed to follow Ekadasi. If you fail to perform Ekadasi, then you are at fault. It is not a fault if they do not perform varnashram duties. Note this point. It is not a fault if they do not perform varnashram duties. If they commit forbidden acts because of influence of previous Vaishnava aparadh, atonement is not required. Since these pure devotees do not have a natural tendency for sinful actions. If one is, having karma adhikar and is performing varnashram duties, and while performing varnashram duties, he commits sinful activities, for him, the karma kanda shastras prescribe atonement. But one who has bhakti adhikar, he need not perform his varnashram duties now. But while practicing bhakti, if he commits some sinful activity, as in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, Api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabhak. So, as Krishna also says. So, for such a devotee, he need not perform atonement which is mentioned in the Karma Kanda scriptures. Why? Bhakti alone acts as atonement. He simply has to continue practice devotional service. This is the conclusion of Vaishnav scriptures. So this is Vaishnav Rahasya. So this is what Vishwanath Chakra Thakur has to say about it. Now Srila Prabhupada makes some more points, interesting points. In fact, Srila Prabhupada gives some warning. Rupa Goswami warns, however, that if a person is properly initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, he should not think that simply by acceptance of such initiation, his business is then finished. So sometimes, if our preaching is very shallow, we recruit new people and we take them to the point of initiation. And they also, because they don't have proper solid philosophical knowledge, they take up to the initiation process and they think initiation means yes, our spiritual life has come to an end. We have taken now diksha, it's over, our practice has attained perfection. And then they don't turn up for really seriously practicing devotional life. So initiation means initiating, it is the beginning. So simply by acceptance of initiation, his business is then finished. Prabhupada says he wants, Srila Goswami wants. One still has to follow the rules and regulations very carefully. So once he is initiated, once he is having bhakti adhikar, he has come in sadhu sangha, he is following the sadhus and he takes the first anga of bhakti, that is Guru Pada Ashraya, and he takes initiation. Now he has to take the initiation vows of following the four regulative principles, regularly chanting. So he has to follow these bhakti angas very, very rigidly and carefully. And if he doesn't follow, then he's at fault in not executing the limbs of devotion. If after accepting the spiritual master and being initiated, one does not follow the rules and regulations of devotional service, then he is again fallen. So he falls down from his bhakti position. One must be very vigilant to remember that he is a part and parcel of the transcendental body of Krishna, and that it is his duty as part and parcel to give service to the whole or Krishna. If we do not render service to Krishna, then again we fall down. In other words, simply becoming initiated does not elevate one to the position of a high class Brahmana. One also has to discharge the duties and follow the regulative principles very rigidly. So one has to discharge the duties of a Vaidhi sadhaka. One has to perform the angas of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. What are the duties? So what are the duties? Rupa Goswami will come to later on, but he is now establishing that one who has bhakti adhikar, he is at fault if he doesn't follow or follows the limbs of devotion. And he is not at fault if he doesn't perform varnashram duties. Because now he is performing a higher dharma, parodharma, a transcendental occupation based on the spirit soul being part and parcel of Krishna. Whereas the Varna and Ashram is a designation based on the subtle body, on the I'm a Brahmana. That is also a designation based on my impressions that I have sattvic impressions. If I am having rajasic impressions, I'm a Kshatriya. So based on my swabhava, my nature, uh, being situated in the Varnashram, I'm identifying based on my swabhava, and based on the swabhava, there is swakarma, Kshatriya duties. And if one doesn't follow his Kshatriya duties, then he is going to incur sin. But when one gets faith, Jata Shraddha Mat Katado, he has got the pure Bhakti Lata Bij, then he is not at fault if he doesn't perform his Varnashram duties. So he is not going to incur sin. While practicing bhakti, if he commits any sin, he has to continue to practice bhakti. So this is the Vaishnav Rahasya, which a devotee should very well understand. Rup Goswami also says that if one is regularly discharging devotional service, there will be no question of fall down. But even if circumstantially there is some fall down, the Vaishnava need have nothing to do with prashchit, the ritualistic ceremony of purification. If someone falls down from the principles of devotional service, he need not take to prashchit performances for reformation. He simply has to execute the rules and regulations for discharging devotional service, and this is sufficient for his reinstatement. This is the mystery of Vaishnav cult. Iti Vaishnava Rahasyam, as Rupa Goswami has mentioned in the verse. Prabhupada is paraphrasing that. Rahasyam tad vidam matam. So this is a very important point Goswami is making before describing the duties of a qualified practitioner. So any questions regarding this? Anyone has any questions or any clarifications? I hope the point was very clear. Now, Rupa Goswami is going to give evidences in scriptures to prove his point.
Krishna, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Prabhu, just want to clarify, like when the person is doing bhakti, he is not necessary, or if he do the varnashrama, correct? But he should be following the angas of bhakti, faithfully, sincerely. So
Yes,
this is the
yes.
statement, the final one.
Yes, yes.
For other people, they have to follow varnashrama. The people who are not in the bhakti.
Yes, because they have karma adhikar. They have karma adhikar. So based on karma adhikar, the karma kanda scriptures direct them to follow their rules and regulations, their do's and don'ts. So they have adhikar for that, and if they don't do that, then they will incur sin. Once one gets bhakti adhikar, the Shuddha Bhakti Lata Bij, then he need not perform his duties of Varna and Ashram. Now another important thing one should note here, of course it is not applicable in today's age because there is no Varnashram left even in India in one sense. But there is some remnants of Varnashram, especially when you go to holy places like Sri Rangam or Udupi, where there are temples and devotees who have communities there. where they very much identify based on Varnashram there. I'm a Brahmana and like that. They have that. So I'm speaking the traditional setup. If somebody from such a traditional setup who from his childhood was given all samskars and he was learning Vedas from his father or in the Gurukul, and he comes out, studies in the college, and there he comes in touch with ISKCON, and he gets attracted to the philosophy of the Gaudi Vaishnavism, and he takes up to devotional practice, pure devotional service practice. Now, for him, he might not to disturb the others in the community, he might follow, he might follow some duties of Varnashram just so that they are not disturbed, or to set an example for others, so that they can, he can have a platform where he can preach to them about this pure devotional service. Because if he completely rejects that, then they will also, not be favorable towards pure devotional service. So like that, he might uh, follow these rules and regulations, but he doesn't have faith in it. He doesn't have faith. He has no faith in pure devotional service. So just to set an example, he might follow. So that is how a devotee might do it. So I'll give a classic example to understand this, because it is very difficult in today's age also to find such a unique example. In the Western world, one of my friend devotee who preaches, he told me that there was a Christian pastor who was very famous in the town, a well-known, orator who had a huge following in the entire city. So somehow he wanted to, defy Bhagavad Gita and counteract Bhagavad Gita. So he came to a temple, bought the Bhagavad Gita, he had the darshan of the deities, he wanted to smash the deities, seeing them. So much envy was fed in the heart. But when he was reading the Bhagavad Gita, he could not connect because the Sanskrit verses and the Sanskrit terminologies, even the English also, it's difficult. So he was looking for some, modern explanation, and he went to some websites and he found the Gita Daily where he could relate. And reading these articles, he was very much attracted to the philosophy and he started practicing spiritual life. In fact, he became such a devout practitioner that he had his own personal deities which he used to carry with him. So, then he got in touch with very senior devotees and said whether I should now renounce this life of a pastor and full time join the monkship here. So they recommended, because you're a well-known person, you continue externally your duties as a pastor, but internally you take up, at your, in your at your home, internally you practice your bhajan. Because he is practicing pure devotion service, people who are coming in touch with him for advice, because they are associating with the devotee, they will be getting bhakti impressions, in fact. So that is how this is the Vaishnava Rahasya, you can understand. So like that, he might externally do his duties and not have faith in it. But just to set an example, he might do it. Is it clear, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Yeah, clear, Prabhu. Just one more thing in addition, like what
Yes.
about the other religions? Whether they have something like Varnashrama or they believe on that, like the other religions, two religions.
No, Varnashram is basically only found in our traditional scriptures.
Okay.
So in the other religions, there is no concept of Varnashram. There's no concept of three modes only, especially.
Yeah.
So where's the question of, Varnashram, Chaturvida, Bhajante Man, Guna Karma Vibhagasho. So the concept of three modes is only, it's very philosophical. It is only developed in the Vaishnava literatures and in the Vedic literatures, you can say. So, but Varnashram, in fact, the whole world uh, was, in fact, all the continents were performing varnashram, in fact,
Mm.
in the bygone ages. It was well evident. So it was there. It's only in the later parts when, even below the Shudra classes, people became Lechas Yavanas. So for them to elevate, these other uh, Abrahamic religions are given. Is it clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now, after establishing this in this verse, now Rupa Goswami is going to give evidences from scripture to prove his point. He's going to give, I think, he's going to give 4-5 evidences from the scriptures. So the first proof, Yatha Ekadashi, Sve Sve Adhikari Kirtita, Viparyastu Dosha Swad, Ubayoresha Nishchaya. Steadiness in one's own position. Sve Sve Adhikare Ya Nishta is declared to be actual piety. Sa Guna Parikirtita. Whereas deviation from one's position is considered impiety. Viparaya tu dosha swad. In this way, the two are definitely ascertained. Ubayor esha nishchaya. This was to be understood and applied. So let us see. This is Jeev Goswami's commentary. With the words Sve Sve Adhikare, different qualifications are signified for karma, jnana, and bhakti. For the persons qualified for pure bhakti, performance of actions of karma or jnana and failure to perform bhakti are both faults. Now, please note, for persons qualified for pure bhakti, if you are qualified for pure bhakti, then if you perform dharma or jnana, it is fault. And if you fail to perform bhakti anga, then also it is fault. So there are two faults. If somebody is qualified for pure devotion, not performing the angas of pure devotion is fault. And one who is qualified for pure devotion, if he performs what is not qualified, if he performs karma, he is not having karma adhikar, but he starts performing karma duties, then also he is at fault. So this is the point which is being made by made in this 11th canto verse. Now I will ask you one question. Please hear it carefully and answer me. Arjuna, especially in the first and the second chapters, before Krishna introduces that you are not this body, your spirit, soul, he says, Arjuna says that if I don't perform my duty, then I will be committing sin. Yes? Now, what does Arjuna identify himself and what is the sin based on that identification? I hope the question is clear. Raise your hands. What does first Arjuna identify himself and what is the sin he thinks if he doesn't perform that? Okay, Surya Kund Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Prabhuji. Prabhuji, Arjuna was thinking of in bodily concept. He was in a bodily concept of life. He was thinking he is a body.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
but
and
what he identifies himself?
Then he was in a bodily concept of life. Means he was thinking he is a body. Means okay.
But exactly, okay. In the bodily concept, you can think so many things like I am a king, I am a Brahmana, I'm a intelligent person, I'm a poet, I'm a anything, you can think. What exactly in the bodily consciousness?
He was a Kshatriya, but he was like Vaishnav. I mean, he was the qualification of Vaishnav.
Too many things you're telling. You're a Vaishya, he's a Vaishnava, and you're a Kshatriya. No, he was considering himself as a Kshatriya.
He was considering as Kshatriya.
Yes. So Vaishnava doesn't have any designation within the Varnashram. Vaishnavism is transcendental.
Okay.
That is what is Mahaprabhu's destination. Naham, Naham Nyasi, Na Shudro, Na Varno, I am not a sannyasi, I am not a Brahmana, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya, I am not a Shudra.
Yes.
Then who am I? Gopi Bhartur Kvadalo, Padkamalayo, Das Dasanudas. Yeah. So that is our identification. Jivera Sarupai, Krishna Nityadas. So based on the Varnashram, he considered himself as a Kshatriya. That is body identification only. Yes. Then what will be sin for him?
Because he was as a Kshatriya, he was not performing his duty as Kshatriya.
Yes. If he doesn't perform his duty as a Kshatriya, then he will incur sin.
Then, yeah.
That was his argument, right?
Yes.
Other thing he was thinking is that yes, if Kshatriyas kill enemies in a battle, Dharma Yuddha, there is no sin. Manu Samhita says, Manusmriti says.
Yeah.
But he was thinking specifically of the enemies in the form of his own relatives. Killing his own relatives, that will be sin, he was considering. So that was a higher thinking what he was having, Arjuna. So that is why he was not ready to perform his duty as a Kshatriya. So he had this crisis. This crisis was going on within him. That I am a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya has to take part in the Dharma Yuddha. And if I don't perform my Dharma Yuddha, then I will incur sin. But at the same time, in this Dharma Yuddha are my own family members. And if I kill for my own family members, then there will be sin. So if I don't perform my Kshatriya duty, there is sin. If I kill my family members I take part in the war and kill my family members, there is sin. So there is an ethical crisis which Arjuna was going through. So like that, I'm just giving this example. It is not applicable here in the verse, but just to show that different qualifications are signified for karma and jnana and bhakti. So if somebody is qualified for karma, he has to do his varnashram duties. Arjuna is a Kshatriya, he has to do his Kshatriya duty. And if he doesn't perform his Kshatriya duties, then he will incur sin. Now somebody is qualified for Gyan, then he has to do the rules and prescribed rules and regulations for Gyan. And if he doesn't fail to perform, then he'll also incur sin. And Bhakti also, if somebody is qualified for Bhakti, he has to follow the Angas of Bhakti. Failure to perform the Angas of Bhakti, then he will also incur what? Sin. So this is the point. For one person qualified for pure Bhakti, performance of actions of karma or Gyan is at fault, and failure to perform Bhakti is also at fault. Is at fault. Ubhayor, both. Now, Jiva Goswami gives reference. He gives references from the scriptures which say how one who has taken to bhakti need not perform any other duties based on varnashram. And if he commits any sin, he need not do any prashchit. So this is the first reference he gives, which is a very famous verse. We have seen it, I think, sometimes. Swapada Moolam Bhajata priyasya त्यक्त्वान्यभावस्य हरि परेश विकर्म यच्चोत्पतितं कदाचिन् धुनोति सर्वं हृदि सन्निविष्ट. One who has thus given up all other engagements. Tektva anya bhavasya. So one who has given up all other engagements means he has given up his engagements based on varnashram. He has given up his varna duties of a kshatriya. And now what? Has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of Hari. Swapada Mula Bhajata, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Para Isha, is very dear to the Lord, Hari Priyasya. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits sinful activity, Kadachin Yad Vikarma. Accidental here it is mentioned. Kadachin. The Supreme Personality of Godhead who is seated within everyone's heart. Sarvam Riti Sannivishta immediately takes away dhunoti, the reaction to such sin. Yad Utpatitam. So now he has given up all other duties and he has taken up to the highest duty of serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Swapada Mula Bhajata. He is very dear to the Lord, and even if he commits anything sinful, he has to continue to engage in devotional service sincerely, and the Lord will purify him in the heart. He need not undergo any atonement. So this is the first proof he is giving. Jiva Goswami is giving. Now the second proof he is giving in his commentary, the second reference. Tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vai madat na jnanam na cha vairagyam prayoshayo bhavetiha. Therefore, tasman, for a devotee engaged in my loving service, yogina mad bhakti yuktasya, with mind fixed on me, mad atmana, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation, jnanam cha vairagyam, is generally not, na praya, the means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Sheva bhavet iha. So this verse, what it is proving in the reference verse given by Rupa Goswami. This is the reference verse we saw. Sve sve adhikare ya nishta. Sa guna parikirtita. Viprayato doshaswad ubayar esha nishchaya. This is the verse. These are references given by Rupa Goswami to prove his point. So what does this verse prove? What does this verse prove? Anyone would like to answer? Raise your hand. Anyone can raise your hand to explain what this verse is proving. Anyone would like to try? Yes, Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji.
The highest perfection in the world is doing service to him. That is the topmost perfection.
Okay. No, can you go a little more deeper? Try to. He is a devotee engaged in devotional service. He has got bhakti adhikar. Yes.
Yeah.
So for him, what does Krishna saying here?
He's saying don't focus on cultivating the knowledge and renunciation.
Yeah, that is which path?
Karma yoga and jnana yoga.
No, it is only Gyan.
Only jnana, yeah. Only
Knowledge
jnana.
and renunciation is specifically Gyan Yoga or
Yeah.
Ashtanga Yoga.
Yes.
So one who has adhikar for bhakti, who is engaged in devotional service, Krishna is saying don't take up to Gyan Marg. Don't take up to Gyan Marg. Then you will be at fault. You got the point now?
Yes. Yeah, before in the two slides before you told.
Yes. Because if he also takes up to Gyan path along with the practice of bhakti, then his bhakti will become mixed. Then he will not attain the goal. He will not attain the goal. Shreyo bhavetiha. So this is the point what Krishna is making. This is very little fine and subtle, and we have to, meditate upon it. Now let us see in the next verse. Third reference is giving. Dhavat karmani kurvita na nirvedeta yavata matkata shravanado va shraddhayavan na jayate. One should continue to perform the Vedic ritualistic activities. Tavat karmani purvita. Until one actually becomes detached from material sense gratification. Na nirvedeta yavata. And develops faith in hearing and chanting about me. Mat kata shravanado va shraddha yavam nachayate. Now, this verse, Krishna is saying, continue to perform your varnashram duties. You have karma adhikar. You identify yourself based on the varnashram. And by doing these karma kanda activities, slowly you're leading a pious life. Because you're leading a pious life, your heart is getting purified. And slowly, what is happening? You're becoming detached from material sense gratification. And because you're leading a religious life, you will naturally have attraction to sadhus, where you might hear Krishna Katha. And hearing Krishna Katha, the soul's faith will awaken in pure devotional service. So till the time the soul's pure faith in hearing Krishna Katha awakens, till then that time continue to perform your varnashram duties. That is, you have karma adhikar, you perform those. And the moment Shraddha, faith awakens, this faith is the faith of the soul. Whereas the karma duties, karma adhikar, is based on the swabhava, which is part of our subtle body. That has nothing to do with the soul. So you are identifying yourself as Brahmana, because Brahmana is also again a material designation, or a Kshatriya. So continue to perform these duties, get purified, become free from detached from sense gratification. And when pure faith will awaken, this faith will awaken only when we come in touch with a pure devotee. It's not that, from karma, automatically with the heart purification, you will get faith in bhakti. No. Bhakti can be only got from a pure devotee only. Bhaktya sanjayate bhaktya, as it is mentioned. So here in this verse, now what is Krishna saying? What is Krishna saying based on this verse? I would like to see others also now. Based on this verse, which is the dosha and what is the fault here? You have to say here. Anyone else would like to try? Okay, let us see. Mohan Rup Sham Prabhuji, I'll go to the verse.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks little bit contradicting. Before we were telling like, okay, if you have started bhakti, no need for doing varnashrama. But here he is saying that you have to do until getting the Shraddha and then Sadhu Sangha. So, but we already doing Shraddha and Sadhu Sangha, correct? So for us, whether we fit into which condition actually, I'm a little
Yeah.
this
No. You first want to answer the question, or you have a question first to tell me?
question first. Yeah.
You have a question. Okay. So now you can repeat the question.
No, so far we have discussed like people who have started doing bhakti, devotional services, no need to go for varnashrama, no need to worry about the varnashrama, right?
Correct.
Yeah. But here he says like, if you have a faith for hearing and chanting, that means Shraddha is first stage, faith.
Here, that is what here we don't understand this verse. Tavat karmani purvita. One should continue to perform the Vedic ritualistic rituals. When? Until one becomes detached from material sense gratification.
Yeah.
And develops faith in hearing and chanting about. So these are the two qualifications. So in the Karma Kanda, what does Karma Kanda do? It identifies yourself with Varnashram and you start leading a pious religious life and don't lead a sinful life. So slowly, slowly with pious religious life, you get purified. The purification of the heart is happening. So slowly, slowly you will start attaining detachment from this world. And you have faith in what? Varnashram duties. Still now your faith in pure devotional service has not awakened because you have not met sadhus. Moment you come in touch with sadhus and you hear, you have been, because you are a pious religious person, you have been going to holy places, you are visiting temples, you are performing ritualistic ceremonies. But somehow when you come in touch with a pure devotee and you hear Krishna Katha, your soul's faith awakens in Krishna Katha. You are already now purified to a certain degree because of leading a pious religious life. Now you can give up completely Varnashram duties and completely engage in bhakti duties of performing the bhakti angas now. So till then, you have to perform your Varnashram duties till you don't become detached from sense gratification and develop faith. So there is the difference between faith of your swabhava and the faith of the soul. Sometimes the term one of the sannyasis uses is faith of the mind and faith of the soul. Faith of the mind is based on your sabhava. I identify myself as a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. But faith of the soul is faith in pure devotional service, faith in Krishna. So that is what it means. I hope it is clear, Prabhuji, now.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. I'm just wondering, where are we as a Gragastas? we,
First of all, we have a big misconception, especially in ISKCON. So these misconceptions take a lot of time to drive them out. Now, whether they are brahmacharis or sannyasis or grahastas, we are Vaishnavas and we are beyond designations. This is first point to be understood. Prabhupada's one famous statement is there. In Vrindavan, one should never consider himself as a sannyasi or a brahmachari or a grahastha. One should be in a consciousness that I am the servant of Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness, he says. So this is the first point to be noted. Jivera Sarupai Krishna Nityadas. So it doesn't matter which ashrama you belong to. Whether you are in the sannyas ashram, you are a grahastha ashram, or you are in the brahmachari ashram. See, there are two things. There is the ashram, brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. These are called as ashram. Now, these ashramas are meant for spiritual development. And these ashram is meant for elevation of the soul. Okay, this is ashram. Now, varna is identification based on the swabhava. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, so he has sattvic impressions, in his nature. So swabhava is sattvic, so he has natural inclination for sattvic activities. Kshatriya has rajasic impressions, so he is passionate by nature. So he's got Kshatriya nature. Then there is Vaishya. So like that, these are what? Based on Varna. So we don't identify ourselves or ashram in one sense. That is the highest teaching of Chaitanya. We identify ourselves as spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. Now, in one sense, although this is our transcendental position, we are not at that transcendental level of consciousness. We are not at that transcendental level of consciousness. So we are situated like somebody is a grahastha, somebody is a brahmachari, somebody is a sannyasi. Somebody can be a grahastha and he might be highly elevated and he might be pure Krishna conscious devotee. And somebody might be a brahmachari who might not be that at that elevated position also. Yes, it can happen. It is possible in Krishna consciousness. So take the example of Quresh. Quresh was a grahastha, but he was very, very close and dear to Ramanujacharya. And he was so close, but he was a grahastha. And take the example of Dhanurdas. Dhanurdas was attached to a prostitute. And later on, he got the mercy of Ramanujacharya. He got married to her. And he was so dear to Ramanujacharya that when Ramanujacharya every day used to go take bath, he used to walk along with Dhanurdas and not his brahmachari disciples. And they used to put hand to hand and walk together. And the brahmacharis were envious. Why is this grahastha so much close to our spiritual master? So they were identifying him based on being a grahastha. But Ramanujacharya taught that lesson. Who is more attached? He told, in the temple there is no funds. So what to do? Go and rob jewels from Dhanurdas' house. So his wife was sleeping and the brahmacharis went. They saw that she is wearing a lot of jewelry. So slowly they picked up the jewelry. The wife became conscious and aware. Maybe in their ashram there is some problem, financial problem. So she wanted to turn the other side so that they can take the other side jewels. But they became scared and ran away. And what did Ramanujacharya do one day in the early morning? He picked up the coffins of all the brahmacharis and they were fighting for the coffins. So he showed how detached was, because this detachment from bhakti it was. So like that, we need not identify too much based on which ashram we are. We are Krishna's devotees, we are Vaishnavas, we are servant of the Vaishnavas. That should be our identification. That is first point. Now, within Vaishnavism, which is transcendental, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has made this classification of the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. The Grahatyagis are Vaishnavas who have renounced, who are in the renounced life, like the Brahmacharis, the Vanaprasthas, and the Sannyasis, you can see. And the Grahasthas are Vaishnavas who are practicing in family life. Now, within those two categories, there are duties, Vaishnava duties, not Varnashram duties. There are Vaishnava duties. So this is what we need to follow as ideal Vaishnavas. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are n number of examples. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Raghunath Das Goswami what are the duty of a renunciates. He's giving very serious, heavy instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami. And then he's giving instructions to the Grahasthas. The Kulina Gramvasis who are Grahasthas, who used to every year visit Mahaprabhu. They asked, we are Grahasthas, what is our duty as Vaishnavas? So Mahaprabhu said, serve Vaishnavas and chant Hare Krishna. So like that, for the Grahasthas and for the Grahatyagis, Vaishnava duties are there, and that is what we need to follow. Not too much, have this kind of a discrimination. Is that clear, Prabhuji? Okay. Any other questions anyone has? Okay, so let us go ahead now. So this verse, the verse is speaking of he has got karmadikar, and as long as he is not detached from sense gratification, until he develops bhakti adhikar, he should perform his karma duties in the varnashram. Otherwise, he is at fault. Now, moment by performing his karma adhikar, his heart is purified, the bhakti lata beach. He should now follow the angas of bhakti. If he is still following his varnashram duties, he's at fault. And if he's not performing his bhakti duties, he's still again at fault. So this is the meaning of this verse. Swe swe adhikare vanishta. And these three references Jiva Goswami is giving. Those qualified for Jnana and Karma are persons without such faith in Bhakti. So Jnana Adhikar, he has Jnana Adhikar and he doesn't have, still the soul's faith has not awakened in Bhakti. This person has Karma Adhikar and still faith in Bhakti has not attained. Though they may begin practicing pure Bhakti by devotee association, they quickly show disrespect. They show disrespect to what? Tell me now. This is a little fine point. Raise your hands who would like to answer. They show disrespect to what? Anyone in the audience? Raise your hands. They show disrespect to what? Read this again, these 2 points. Those qualified for Jnana and Karma are persons without such faith in Bhakti. They are qualified for Jnana, so they are practicing the limbs of Jnana because still they have not got the faith, pure faith of Shraddha, because they have not come in touch with the pure sadhu. These persons who are qualified for Karma, they are performing their varnashram duties and getting purified, but still faith in pure devotion has not awakened. So they are performing their karma duties. So if they are performing their karma duties, then they are elevating themselves. If those who are having karma adhikar, they fail to perform their karma duties, then they will have sin. They will incur sin. So this is the point Rupa Goswami is making. Now, those who are qualified for Jnana and Karma, if they begin practicing pure Bhakti by devotee association, they quickly show disrespect. They quickly show disrespect for what? Is my question. Raise your hands. Who would like to answer? There is one answer which is typed, which is correct. What about others? Yes, I would like to. Yes. Pavan Balagovind Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna, they show disrespect to Bhakti.
They show disrespect to Bhakti.
Yeah, because
Please understand, though they may begin practicing pure Bhakti by devotee association, how they will show disrespect to Bhakti?
though they may begin practicing pure Bhakti by devotion service, they show disrespect to Jnana and Karma.
They show disrespect
Sorry.
to Jnana. Yes,
Sorry,
yes.
my reading was little.
See, somebody is qualified for Jnana, comes in association of pure devotee, he will take up to pure Bhakti, he will show disrespect to Jnana. Somebody is qualified for Karma, comes in the association of pure devotional service, he will quickly show disrespect to practicing, he will lose taste for karma activities. That is the meaning. Yes, so everyone has now clearly understood this point. As a result, they fail to attain their goals. In that sense, they become full of fault by giving up that for which they are qualified, namely Jnana and Karma. So the point what Jiva Goswami is making is, if they have adhikar for Jnana and still don't have adhikar for Bhakti, they will neither attain goal of Jnana nor they will attain Bhakti. And in that sense, they are fault at both. So that is the point what Jiva Goswami is making. Viparaya means not fixed in performing work for which one is qualified, and also to become fixed in some other work for which one is not qualified. So one is Nishta, it was mentioned in the verse. So one has not attained faith in bhakti, and he's not, you know, he's not attained that faith in bhakti where he's performing the bhakti work. Because to perform bhakti, you should accumulate sukruti, and then you can start performing bhakti in sadhu sangha. You should have qualification to practice Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And if you start doing those work without having the qualification, then you are at fault. And you are qualified now for Gyan, but you don't perform that work properly, then also you are at fault. So like that, two faults are being ascribed here. Now, the second proof Rup Goswami is giving from the first canto, Pratame. Thektva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajan apakpota pate tato yadi yatra kwa va budra muda mushakim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmata. If a person having given up his duties of varnashram, tektva swadharmam. Now, tektva swadharma means swabhav. Swabhav, based on the swabhava, there is a swakarma. And based on the swakarma, there is a swadharma. So, tektva swadharma begins to worship the Lord's lotus feet, Harer Charanam Bhujam Bhajan, and happens to deviate or not reach perfection. Yadi apakva atha tato patet. There is no misfortune for him at all in the future. Yatra va abhadra amud amushakim. But what does ka va artha, the person who follows all duties of varnashram, swadharmata, but does not worship the Lord, abhajatam, gain apta. So this is the famous verse from the first canto where Narad Muni is instructing Vyasdev. So the whole purpose of performing varnashram duties is ultimately to worship the Lord. So if one is absorbed in varnashram duties but does not worship the Lord, all his varnashram duties are simply a failure. And if one gives up all varnashram duties and come in the association of a pure devotee and takes up to a pure devotional service and somehow falls down from pure devotional service, he is at no loss. Why? Because ultimately those pure bhakti impressions are carried forward and ultimately he will attain perfection. So this is the point being made in this verse. Jiva Goswami. What misfortune can there be for a person who has begun bhakti even if he was born in a low family? Va has the sense of apitu, even or yet. There is no loss at all if he does not complete bhakti because the impressions of bhakti continue unbroken in future lives. What values attained from following prescribed duties by those who do not worship the Lord? Abhajatam. Nothing at all. So this is the point Jiva Goswami makes. Now the third proof Rupa Goswami gives, Ekadashi, that is the 11th canto. Agyaineva gunan doshan maya dishtan api swakan dharman santajya yah sarvan mam bhajet sa cha sattama. He perfectly understands Agyaya, that the ordinary religious duties prescribed by me in the various Vedic scriptures, Maya Adishtan. Adishtan means they are prescribed by me. So the Karma Kanda scriptures are also given by Krishna. They are the rules and regulations given by Krishna himself because Vedas come from Krishna. Possess favorable qualities that purify the performer. So there are favorable qualities by which have to be cultivated, which purify. And he knows that neglect of such duties constitutes a discrepancy in one's life. Gunan doshan. having taken complete shelter at my lotus feet. However, a saintly person ultimately renounces such ordinary religious duties. Dharman santeja ya sarvan, and worships me alone. Mam bhajet. He is thus considered to be the best among all living entities. Such a sattama. So this is the second verse which is mentioning how one who gives up varnashram duties and takes up the highest duty of worshipping the Lord, he is not at fault. He is not at fault. Now, an important point is being made in the commentary by Jiva Goswami. With the list of qualities mentioned in the verses previous to this quote from Bhagavatam, starting with Kripalu, Akrita Droha. The position of a person fixed in his dharma has been presented, showing a type of bhakti characterized by hearing about the Lord mixed with karma and jnana, according to the commentary, which explains that the word kavi in the verse 11:11:31 reads a jnani. Kavi samyak jnani. So 11:11:31, this is 11:11:32. So previous to these verses, that is 11:11:29:30:31, there are various qualities mentioned of practitioners who practice bhakti which is mixed with karma and jnana. It is not pure devotion. It is, in the varnashram, there is also bhakti. While practicing karma kanda also, religious duties of worshipping devatas, there is some bhakti element. So there are these qualities which are mentioned in these three verses. So where there is one quality, kavi, and the kavi means a jnani. Kavi samyak jnani, which is meant. What happens consequently is described in the present verse. So in the present verse, that is 11:11:32, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1 to 67, what happens consequently is explained in this verse. Even though he does not possess those qualities, all these qualities are mentioned here. Huh? There are some 28 qualities, I think. And though understanding that the qualities such as mercy are good and the opposites are bad, gunan doshan agya, he rejects all the dharmas prescribed by varnashram, specifically all prescribed daily and periodic duties. Daily as nitya karma and naimitya karma, which have been designated by me, Maya Dishtan, among the qualities listed, since they are obstacles to Ananya Bhakti to me. Like piety is an obstacle to pure devotional service, just like impiety is also an obstacle to pure devotional service. So these good and bad qualities, which are part of Varnashram Dharma, one gives up. These are given by Krishna, but one gives up all this because they are obstacles to attain Ananya Bhakti. By mentioning rejection of Varnashram Dharma, it is understood there should be rejection of Jnana as well. Rejecting both karma and Jnana, he should worship me. He also is the best person, Sattama. The particle cha signifies that the previous description with good qualities indicated the best person, Sattama. But the last person mentioned, even without those qualities, but who gives up all duties and worships me alone, is also Sattama. Because in those previous three verses, it is mentioned that all these qualities which are there in the karmis and the jnanis, they are called as Sattama. But here in 32 verse also it is mentioned Sattama. So this Sattama is a devotee who is worshipping Krishna. And even if this devotee doesn't have those qualities which are mentioned in those verses, still he is the best. This is the point which is being made. He is equivalent to the person having those qualities. Now here I have mentioned in the footnote, verses 29 to 39 describe 28 qualities of saintly person And verse 32 quoted explains the highest perfection of life is to worship Krishna. Now, another important point Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is making, which we should note. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the 17th quality, Mat Sharanam, or taking complete shelter of Lord Krishna, is the most important. And the other 27 qualities automatically appear in one who has become a pure devotee of the Lord. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasyasti Bhaktir Bhagavati Akinchana Sarver Gunes Tatra Samasati Sura. So, if one has taken shelter of Krishna, that means he is practicing pure devotional service. Even if he doesn't have any good qualities, if he is not having good behavior, he is not merciful, he is the best among the devotees. He is the Sattama according to Krishna. From the other perspective, if somebody is a Jnani, he is Kripalu, he's controlled his mind and senses. A devotee might have not controlled his mind and senses, but he surrendered to Krishna. Still, that devotee is considered the best. This is Krishna's opinion. So that is why sometimes when we take up to pure devotional service, we see that many devotees don't have Vaishnava qualities of being Kripalu. They have so many faults. They are harsh. They have not controlled their mind and senses. But these are secondary qualities. Gauna Lakshan. The Mukhya Lakshan is Krishna Kasharanam. They have surrendered to Krishna and taken up to the pure devotional service. As they practice pure devotional service and as Anarth Nivrati they cross, all these qualities automatically manifest in a pure devotee. So that is why as sadhakas, even if devotees have faults, we see dosha in the form of not having these wonderful qualities, but we should see that one quality in the devotees that they have taken shelter of Krishna. And they are practicing bhakti and they are practicing the limbs of bhakti. The others, the jnanis, they might be very calm, very peaceful. They might have controlled their mind and senses. They might be very austere. But because they have not taken shelter of Krishna, they are not dear to Krishna. That is the point between the two difference. So this is the point which is being made by Jiva Goswami in his commentary. I hope it is clear. So this is one reference he gives. And the last reference now he gives, I think this is the last reference. No, there are another two more references. Tatraiva. Tatraiva means there itself in the 11th canto. This is also a famous verse. Dev Rishi Bhutaptr Nrinam Pitrinam Na Kinkaro Nayam Rini Charajan Sarvatmanaya Sharanam Sharanyam Kato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. Anyone who has taken the shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda, Yato Gato Mukundam Sharanyam, the giver of liberation, Sharanyam, giving up all kinds of obligations, Parihritya Kartum. Obligations, again, the Varna duties, the Ashrama duties, they refer to that also. Has taken to the path in all seriousness, Sarvatmana, owes neither duties or obligations, na kinkaro, na ayam rani, to the demigods, sages, general living entities, family members, humankind, or forefathers. Deva, Rishi, Bhuta, Apta, Vrinam, Pitrinam. So this is the next proof he is giving for this. Giving up all obligations. Pariharta Kritam means the devotee rejects the distractions of one's attention caused by thinking that Indra or Chandra must be worshipped. Because here it is mentioned that Deva, worship of Devtas. So worship, if we, according to Varnashram, we have to worship the Devtas. So if we are worshipping Devta, then it will become a distraction in our worship of Krishna. So he gives up that. Having surrendered, Sharanam Gata, that person has destroyed all prarabdha karmas and consequently destroys being situated in Varnashram since he has no material gunas. So the devotee, although he is within the three modes, He has not transcended three modes. Still, he is a Vaishnava because he has pure faith in the form of Shraddha in his heart. In that sense, he has transcended Varnashram. That person is no longer obliged to perform regular Varnashram duties. So, such a person is not obliged to perform any Varnashram duties. So, this is the meaning of this verse. Now, this is a famous verse. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma sucha. Giving up all dharmas, sarva dharman parityajya. Now, I have a question. What does Krishna mean giving up all dharmas here? What does it mean? Raise your hands who would like to try to answer this. Giving up all dharmas. What does it mean? What does it mean? Giving up all dharmas. What are the different dharmas? Yes, one devotee has raised hand. Surya Kund Prabhuji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, give up all religion.
If you give up all religion, then how you will take up the religion of serving Krishna? That's why it's Sarva Dharman Parityajya is not an easy verse to understand. What does Krishna say when he says Sarva Dharman Parityajya? Tyaja means to give, Parityajya means completely giving up. What is he actually instructing Arjuna? Anyone try? I would like that devotees try, so that we understand at least what this verse means. What is he exactly instructing Arjuna? You can raise your hands. I would like to hear. I would like to hear from devotees. Pavan Govind Prabhuji. Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Sarvadharma Parityajya, because Krishna has in Bhagavad Gita told many yogas, and depending upon their swabhava, finally after telling all those things, he said that those dharmas are there, but final thing is that if you can reject all those things and take my shelter. That Jnana Yoga, then Karma Yoga, then Ashtanga Yoga, all these things are there for the spiritual elevation. After leaving all that one, you come back to, if you take the shelter of mine, you don't have to do all those karmas.
Yes. So, Krishna is telling, give up all other inferior dharmas. Give up Kshatriya dharma, give up Sannyas dharma, give up Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Stri dharma. The gopis of Vrindavan, they gave up, their natural quality, which is of a female, to be shy, but they went in the dead of the night, when they heard the flute of Krishna. So they gave up Stri dharma, they gave up Pati dharma, everything. They gave up their children. So this is Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Mam ekam sharanam praja. But follow the highest dharma, that is surrender to me. That is Mam ekam sharanam. So give up inferior dharmas and take up to the superior dharma. That is pure devotional service. That is also the meaning of Save Pumsan Paro Dharma. Then I will deliver you. Aham Tvam Mokshasami from all sins. Sarva Papebhyo. Do not worry. The word pari fully should be understood to mean the rejection should be complete. I will free you from all sins means I will free you from all impediments to bhakti. So sometimes, we don't understand Pap, Sarva Papya means what. So here Jiva Goswami is making it clear. There is no sin for them because those with faith in bhakti give up the duties of dharma by the order of God. They have faith in bhakti, so they give up these different duties based on Stri dharma, Raj Dharma or Kshatriya Dharma and all. They give up because the Lord is ordering it. Mam ekam sharanam praja. Those are also Lord's orders, but when one has not developed faith, one has developed faith in bhakti, then he has to follow this higher order of the Lord. Now, this is the last quotation from the Agastya Samhitaya. Yatha vidhi nisedotu mukta naivo sarpata tata na sprishato ramupasakam vidipurvakam. Just as the rules and prohibitions of Smriti scriptures, yatha vidhi nishedo, do not approach a liberated person. Muktam tu naivo sarpata. The rules and prohibitions applicable to Vaidiki or Tantriki worship, Vaidiki Purvakam, also do not touch the worshipper of Ram. Tata na sparshato Ram Pasakam. Now, again, further clarification. Jiva Goswami, the rules and prohibitions which the Nishad mentioned in this verse are those belonging to Smritis, dealing with Varnasham in the material gunas. They do not apply to liberated persons beyond the gunas. The worshipper of Rama, a Vaishnava, is also not obliged to follow the rules and worship according to the Vedas and Tantika text. That is because those rules enjoy worship of Devatas. He still follows rules of bhakti as a follower of Vaidhi Bhakti. That means karma, when one is practicing karma kanda, he has to follow the rules and regulations of karma. But when he becomes a jnani and becomes liberated, he is not obliged to follow the rules and regulations of karma kanda. Now, one who takes up to bhakti, he is not at all obliged to follow the rules and regulations of karma kanda, but he is obliged to follow the rules and regulations of bhakti. So that is the point. Now, another verse that is already quoted by Jiva Goswami, that is Swapada Moolam. That I have already quoted, so I'll not discuss this. Now, Prabhupada, one point he says, and we'll end up here. Prabhupada in the Nectar of some devotion submission. Practically, there are three processes for elevating one to the platform of spiritual consciousness. These processes are called karma, jnana, and bhakti. Ritualistic performances are in the field of karma. Speculative processes are in the field of jnana. One who has taken to bhakti, the devotional service of the Lord, need have nothing to do with karma or jnana. It has been already explained that pure devotional service is without any tinge of karma or jnana. Bhakti should have no tinge of philosophical speculation or ritualistic performances. This is how Prabhupada summarizes everything. Now, in the next class tomorrow, we will describe the angas of devotional service. What is the definition of anga? And the 64 limbs of devotional service. So tomorrow we'll begin that. And then the major portion will be scriptural proofs for these 64 limbs. These are very simple, which we'll have to go through. And we'll quickly go through this. And then we will come to the last part of sadhana bhakti, that will be Raganuga sadhana bhakti. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.